Mother, tell your children not to walk my way. Tell your children not to hear my words, what they mean, what they say.
Hello all, and welcome to another question and answer show with me, Truthslayer. As always, if you have anything that you would like to ask me in the pertaining to the world of professional wrestling, please send it my way. I'll ask, keep it to one question per person, make it good so that I can use it, and let's get started. What do you think of Joey Ryan and Karl Anderson as the NWA Tag Champs? I have not seen them. I wish I had. I wish I was able to make the show that was here in Houston when they won them, but I love Joey Ryan. I haven't seen very much of Karl Anderson, so I can't really comment, but I'm a big Joey Ryan fan, so I definitely think that's a good move on the NWA's part. I've got a question. Who gives you goosebumps when they come to the ring involving WWE TNA or ROH? Thank you for your time. Samoa Joe, without question, is the guy that does that. A lot of people consider 1995 one of the WWE's worst year, and some even blame the rise of Diesel as champion and Mabel as a contender as big problems that year. I personally think 1993 was worse, considering the WWF failed to get Lex Luger over as a legitimate contender. So what do you think is WWE's worst year? I won't say 93, and the reason why I will not say 93 is because they still had some good talent. They were still putting on some good matches. There was a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel in 93. They were just starting to go down that dark tunnel. But I would actually say probably 94 was maybe worse. 95 was pretty horrible as well, though. So, you know, take your pick. Any of those years was just really god-awful, to be honest. Do you know where Billy Kidman is wrestling at? If so, where, and what are your thoughts of Jeff Hardy? It seems you've been avoiding his questions about him lately. Billy Kidman is wrestling for the NWA and a lot of independents at the moment. I don't know why he's wrestling for independents and not TNA. You would think that would be a guy TNA would bring in. As far as Jeff Hardy, you know, I'm not the biggest Jeff Hardy fan in the world. I think he is good in his spot that he is, but he is over. So, you know, I'm a much bigger fan of Matt Hardy, to be completely honest. I think Matt Hardy has all the goods. So, there you go. I recently purchased the Survivor Series 96 and was very surprised to see Diesel and Razor Ramon on the card. Diesel, Razor Ramon, Vader, Farrooq versus Savio Vega, Flash Funk, Yokozuna, and Jimmy Snuka, as I was sure that they had left the WWE earlier in that year. My suspicions were confirmed when I got the match, and they looked different from the Diesel and Razor Ramon I'm used to seeing. Is my eyesight memory going funny, or was it really different actors playing the two? Yes, it was two. It was an angle. One of the reason why they did it was for legal reasons. WWE wanted to prove that Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were still playing the Diesel and Razor Ramon characters in WCW. So it was a whole bunch of that. They were trying to do this really stupid angle. Kane was basically playing Diesel. This other guy, that Titan, I think was his name, was playing Razor at the time. It didn't work. It's probably why most people don't remember it, so there you go. What are your views on Angle versus Joe for all the belts? Personally, I feel it is a slap in the face for the rest of the locker room because we can all see Angle winning. I think Joe, if Joe doesn't win, this is complete and utter nonsense in my opinion. I'm just hoping that they get the titles off of Joe before this match, at least some of the titles, as this is just ridiculous in my view. So, anyway. Out of Y2J, Kane, RVD, and Booker T, who would you have liked to be pushed by Triple H in 2002-2003 during Triple H's 2-year reign of terror, and why? Y2J, because I think Y2J is the best guy out of the group. I think he definitely has all the tools to be a major superstar and a legit main eventer. I think Booker T, while great, was getting a little up there in age, and I think Y2J could have been the guy that, you know, for a while could have gone the distance, so to speak. Has a wrestler ever been caught blading on TV because they are about to blade, the camera focuses on something else? Undertaker is the one that usually you can catch blading for whatever reason. He just always seems to be in the spot where you can catch blading. There's bunches of guys. Shawn Michaels, often you can see blading as well, so there you go. If Shawn Michaels never went down to back problems in 1998 Royal Rumble, would Triple H, The Rock, Stone Cold, and more guys would have gotten big break like they did, or no? Actually, by that point, Vince McMahon was pretty much tired of Shawn Michaels and his attitude, so by all accounts he was going in a different direction anyways, so yeah, most of those guys would have got their shots anyways. I think old ECW had so much more emotion than any other company back in the day, and even nowadays as well. Most matches, angles used in ECW made you react differently. Old ECW had stories that you got emotionally invested in my opinion. What do you think of the most emotional storyline old ECW was, or any promotion for that matter? I would say Sandman versus Raven. I would actually say, as far as ECW, I would say Raven versus Tommy. I mean, that was a really great. You know, you really were pulling for Tommy in that feud. As far as all time, I'm gonna say Ric Flair versus. It turned into an angle. Ric Flair versus Bischoff, which turned into an angle, but that was really emotional for a lot of us who were wrestling fans at the time. So, what do you think professional wrestling would be like had Hogan not existed? For example, would someone else have become the superstar? Would the territory still exist? Would wrestling have been as popular? And how might it differ today? Basically, if Hogan hadn't come around, if you would have pretty much would be like it was back in, you know, it was before Hogan was around. Basically, the territories would probably still be around. A lot of things probably wouldn't have changed. There really probably wouldn't have been that. The only other guy that that Vince wanted to use instead of Hogan was Flair, but I don't think Flair would have had the impact that Hogan did, even though I think Flair historically will have a bigger impact than Hogan did on the business. Hogan had a bigger impact at that point in time, which of course led to not just the first wrestling boom, but also without that boom you wouldn't have had the second wrestling boom. So I heard you say WrestleMania 17 was your second favorite pay-per-view of all time. What is your first? That would be Wrestle War 92 is my first. I answered this question in one of my videos from a viewer of mine, but I would like you to answer it in yours. Who do you think does a better coast-to-coast, Morofuji or Shane McMahon? Morofuji, because Morofuji does the Tree of Woe with the coast-to-coast, and I really like that. I think that's a nice added little bonus. I heard somewhere that the IWGP Third Belt Championship couldn't be defended in any other federation, TNA. With Kurt Angle as champ, does this mean that he has to defend it in Japan only, or does this spoil the championship match at Hard Justice? Since the belt can't change hands, Angle will have to win the match. I don't know. This whole thing with the IWGP Third Belt is so confusing. It's mind-numbingly just stupid, and I wish somebody could just come. I wish somebody could come on and answer this question, because no one seems to be able to answer it, which, you know, causes a bunch of confusion, and you don't want confusion in a match like this. But that's a big possibility that it could only be, you know, really defended in Japan, and you know, I don't see them letting Samoa Joe win it and then Samoa Joe taking on, you know, I don't see any of that. So, you know, I really don't know, but I just thought I would add this in there, that this is confusing, and both, you know, Inoki and TNA need to do a better job of explaining this, in my opinion. Well, that's all for tonight, folks. Hope you enjoyed. Talk to you later.
Let's ride.